the channel, Diary of a Spendaholic, if you are interested. But I was just starting a vlog that will probably go up tomorrow. And I was talking about the Harry and Meghan thing, and I thought, oh, this feels like a time-sensitive conversation. It feels like something that we could talk about now because it's happening tonight. It's already been on in the US and it's going to be on ITV at 9 o'clock tonight. I can't wait to watch it personally. Although I had a moment of like, am I going to watch this? I don't know. I really do feel for Meghan, and I think people are arseholes. And I thought also, is this something that we should talk about because people will disagree? But yes, I think so. So I've got to tidy up my kitchen. I'm going to make a coffee. And I thought, while I'm doing that, we'll do a live and say hello. Also, these are great. They like weather, and I probably need some new ones. But they're basically like reusable baking sheets. If you're into that kind of thing. I think I'm going to buy some like silicone cookie sheets. Good morning, those of you joining me live. I do still have a few rolls of baking paper. Baking paper, that's not right, is it? You know what I'm saying? Is it called baking paper? Greaseproof. Try and move away from using that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think I'm going to buy myself some silicone cookie sheet things. I've really only ever seen those in American vlogs, and I saw some in, I was saying Morrison's yesterday. Oh, don't you love when you've set the dishwasher off and it's not like at max capacity? There are two reasons why this is great. Number one, well, what have I done with the lid to my, oh there it is. Number one, everything is actually clean. Because if there's too much stuff in it, it's just all a bit, I end up needing to wash things by hand afterwards anyway. But also, it means that when you come to empty the dishwasher, there's not as much stuff, which is fantastic. Usually our dishwasher is like the most full that it can possibly be. So, how is everybody feeling today? Are you nervous because the kids have gone back to school? Are you happy that the kids have gone back to school? How are we feeling? I feel kind of strange, kind of like half, wow, this is so great, got the house to myself, possibly for the first time. Definitely for the first time since Mum and Dad left. This is the first time I've been in the house alone. Me and Manny, obviously, but this is the first time. So there's that. I feel like I have boundless energy and time. But when I drop the kids off at school, Ella not so much because it feels like she's a grown-up now. But Milo is still a baby. And he was like a little bit nervous. And I felt like I was dropping him off for the first day of school ever. So I'm kind of in two minds. Right, let me just go through my comments. I'm wearing real clothes. I'm wearing real clothes, guys. Also, Nikki, yeah, leather leggings. Who am I? I'm the person who told everyone to buy these leather leggings. Can we just talk about these for a second? They still do them. They're from New Look. They are the most comfortable things. This is like nothing like jeans. I didn't want to wear jeans today. These, I mean, they're like this. They're not attractive here necessarily, but I think they're just really flattering. Size down if you buy them because they are quite large, but they're also fleecy on the inside. I don't know if you can tell because it's my iPhone camera, but they are fleecy. So they're actually really nice and warm. They feel like pajamas. They might look like, oh, she's wearing she's wearing leather leggings. Who's this chick? But no, it's actually like wearing pajamas. 100%. I feel, that's probably part of it. I feel more like myself today because I am dressed like a human. 100% going to watch the interview. Really feel for Harry and Meghan. They've detached themselves from and got as far from the UK as they can, and it still doesn't seem to be good enough. Oh, we've got so many opinions on the Meghan thing because we'll get into it. Let's just talk about the school stuff for a second. Not exactly the same boat, but I'm starting my promotion at work today, so a lot of new people to meet. And this time it's virtually. That must be so weird to start a job online. That would just be the weirdest. I can't imagine. I was saying this to my colleague the other day, that on my worst days working where I work, I still don't ever really want to get a new job. But it also feels like if we ever go back to the office, it will feel like it's a new job because nothing's going to be familiar. It all feels new and I don't like it. I don't like it. All the teams have been moved around. I've barely... Do you know, I've got a new manager now, and she wasn't my manager before, but she did work at the business. And I met her, I spoke to her, but I don't think I've actually seen her in person. Some people have been in the office. I've been in a couple of times when I had to, literally 2. One time my internet went out, and the other time, I forget why. Both times I had to go in for some reason, like some tech thing. I might have had to collect something, I can't remember. And I haven't actually seen her in person since she became my manager. That's weird, right? It's a weird situation. It's all strange. Right, this will be brief. I just need to put water in my coffee pot. And then we'll get back to it. We need to get rid of all the coffee grinds in the sink. Okay. I know you're not supposed to, but I like to put hot water in my pot because it's quicker. And who has got time to wait for water to boil on the stove in a mock pot? Not me. I'm sure it's better that way, but I don't care. Right, let me have a look through these comments. I'm happy they're back. They've become fed up at home. The novelty's worn off for them. They were so excited to see their friends completely. In the queue at Costco waiting for it to open, also wearing real clothes. Isn't it exciting wearing real clothes? It is. I think it gives you like a whole new lease on life. I mean, now that phrase, is it lease on life? Whole new lease on life. Is it just me that when they say things, they then want to Google them frequently? I mean, Ireland, Andrew kids are in secondary. Don't go back till the 12th of April. Yeah, not Milo. I was going to say Milo asked me. Lee and Milo are apparently interchangeable in my mind now. Lee asked me yesterday if Ella was going back today. I'm like, yeah, of course. I didn't even realise that some kids weren't going back straight away. I had no idea. Oh, nearly accidentally formatted everything. Whoa, it would have been a mistake. I was just gonna do a time lapse. Of course. What kind of vlogger would I be without a time lapse of some kind? So yeah, Harry and Meghan. Let's talk Harry and Meghan. I, from the beginning, have been team leave them the fuck alone. I can't understand why people have been so massively fixated. And I've read an article this week written by someone who said that she would like defend them to the ends of the earth. She's massive fans of Harry and Meghan. However, and I thought, okay, where's this gonna go? So I had to read it. And it was basically like, enough now. Like, you want to be left alone, so stop coming out and doing interviews and doing blah, 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 blah. And I completely understand that perspective. Someone said to me this week, like, they've asked for their privacy, they're requesting privacy, and then they're going out and doing these big, showy interviews. But I don't think they're really asking for privacy so much as they're asking for decency, and they want people to be kind. I don't think they are saying, everyone, never look at us, don't, because they still want to run like charities and stuff, so they still need to have, they still need to be in the public eye to be able to do what they want to do. So I don't think they're saying, you know, like, we want to live private lives. They clearly don't. They just want people not to publish personal letters. You know, normal shit that you would expect. And I completely understand the impetus to want to speak out and defend yourself and give your side of events if the papers are relentlessly writing stories that you know aren't true. I hadn't seen anything at all. I obviously knew what was happening. I've just realised my wire is directly above, it's like hanging directly above a candle. Not ideal. I got distracted because a comment came up. I feel like Harry and Meghan were at the back of all of our minds, and we all had COVID at the front of our minds till they churned it up and started doing interviews. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably feel that way, but I don't think it felt that way for them. Like, it's hard. Harry on James Corden, so grounded, he turned out so well considering. I've seen interviews with Harry previously, and he seems like just a really nice guy, but it's hard to know exactly how they feel, because from our perspective, you know, we've got all the stuff going on. We're not thinking about Harry and Meghan all the time. They keep bringing it up. They don't really though, do they? Mostly the Daily Mail, but newspapers in general and you know, news outlets are constantly writing stories about them. No matter what they do, no matter what happens, they're constantly writing stories about them. Just because we don't read them or you don't necessarily need to like see the headline, they know they're constantly being written about. It seems like a funny coincidence that when they came out and said they were going to do this interview, someone said that she's been accused of bullying in Buckingham Palace. That seems like too much of a coincidence for me. I think that's a distraction. I want to believe that the royal family aren't really like against Meghan. I understand the thing of wanting to protect themselves if they think that, I don't know. It's almost like the whole world decided Meghan Markle was a terrible person and the royal family want to be liked, and they were like, yeah, she is a terrible person, we hate her too, and they weren't nice to her. But we'll find out, won't we? Because I don't think they're going to go on Oprah and lie, so I'm interested to see what they say. Totally agree. They just want things on their terms, which they're entitled to. We don't own them. I mean, then there's the whole thing of, if they're the royal family, then we do own them, and then we're paying for them and we're complaining about it, but then when they're not the royal family, we're still complaining about it. In some ways, I feel like Harry and Meghan can't win. They'll get slated no matter what they do. True. Do they want peace or do they want to win? That's all I think. I think that is a great point. And I think it's fair either way. Because I think, let's say you say, okay, I just want to, leave me alone. Stop now. Leave me alone. That's never going to happen. He was the prince. I mean, I don't know if he's still a prince. I know they're not HRH, but you know. And she married him. Like they had a big royal wedding. There's no way they're ever going to be left alone. So they're never ever going to have peace. And so with that in mind, much as that's a nice idea, they're never going to have it. So with that in mind, yes, of course they want to win. They want retribution, I think. I think they want someone to say, do you know, this was not fair. You've been treated badly. Everyone said these things that weren't true, and they were just constantly in this ball of headlines. And it just must be horrible, a horrible way to live, really horrible. And at this point, there is no winning because they're too well known. Anything they want to do ever will be written about, and it will always be negative. So there is no peace. She can't go on to live any kind of life. So unless she just literally is a hermit and stays in the house for the rest of her life and does nothing, she kind of has to resolve this. In my mind, that's how I would feel. This needs to be fixed. It's a bit like falling out with your best friend. If there's an option to never speak to them again, and that's how you feel, then great. But if you need to see them every single day, and you know they're going to be in your life forever regardless, you have to come to a point where you're like, right, let's fix this. Whatever this is, let's figure it out. Why have we fallen out? You know, we don't have to be best friends, but we can't be at each other's throats every single time we see each other. And I think they need to resolve something so that you can get back to normal. But it never will. It never will. Harry and Meghan weren't in the back of the minds of the newspapers. They were saying vile things about Meghan, such as her bouquet on her wedding could have killed Prince Charlotte. I know, it's just insane. Eating avocados caused war crimes. Yeah, that was nuts. I think it will dramatically change when the Queen dies. Can't see Charles or William going after them. No. Harry is painted as somehow under her control or trapped. Bloody ridiculous. He's a grown man making decisions for his life. Oh my God. Harry was always a rebel. Harry was always like, I'm going to do things my way. Always, always, always. And he was kind of in that zone of the royal family where he was allowed to do that, because he was never going to be king necessarily. So he was kind of like allowed to be the rebellious prince. There's just no way, that wasn't her. He always wanted to kind of buck the tradition. And I think he found someone who would do it with him. I don't think this was her idea at all. Yes, why are Meghan and Harry always in the news but Andrew isn't? 100%, 100%. The royal family is not Liz and Charles and all that. It's the institution, the history, has to protect itself. Look how they closed ranks and protected Andrew. Exactly. I'm interested to see what the fallout of the interview will be. Will the palace respond? Is that the end of the relationship between William and Harry? So many terrible things were said in the interview. So I don't actually know what has been said in the interview yet because I haven't watched it. I've just seen clips here and there. I don't understand why people have such an opinion of them. It's none of their business. Let them do them. Didn't he cut... What? Oh! Didn't he cut Ed S. Saran with a sword once and was partying in Vegas? Okay, I'm going to need to Google this. He's done some really wild things in his youth. And it's almost like he was the perfect prince. And suddenly Meghan came along and people think she corrupted him. I don't think that's what happened at all. But anyway, these are my opinions. I'm very much of the opinion of like, why do we... Ed Sheeran, I'm going to Google this, Nikki. Also, I need to move this. Where am I going to move you to? I want to sit down. I'm going to move you to here and see if this works. Hang on. Will it? I don't know. I might have to move you somewhere else. We'll see. I just want to move something because it's got my address on it. It's probably a good idea. I'm going to move my coffee. I might have had a better idea, actually, you know. I'm going to put you up in this cupboard. If that's all right, if you don't mind, I'm just going to put you up here in a cupboard. These are weird angles you never thought you were going to see of my kitchen. Okay, can we... No. I'm losing the, like, strength of this thing. Yeah, that's not a great angle, is it? Not fantastic. I'm losing the strength of the, whatever this is called. Like the, come on, word. This thing. I don't know. It's not good. Right, let me go back into the comments. Not a fan of the royal family, but I don't know. It's a bit much. They did a bit of mudslinging and stoked the fire. Bit of a red flag to me that she can't get on with her own family nor Harry's. Ooh, see, that to me is like, that's a red flag. Not a red flag. That is an irritating sentiment. Because you are, it's like saying women who can't keep men. Well, there's no wonder. Like, when Kim Kardashian and Kanye were getting divorced, I spoke to someone and they said, well, the man. I'm like, that is so assuming that it's all their fault. It's assuming that, like, why the men couldn't keep the women either. And it irritates me when someone assumes that if you aren't speaking to a member of your family, that's your fault. Sometimes, and I have many people who, in my life, who don't speak to family members. There are family members I don't speak to because they are not nice people. They are not nice people. And usually it's a situation where there are sides taken. So it's not like someone doesn't get along with an entire family. There is a rift for some reason and a bunch of people come together and a bunch of people come together. And that's when a family divides. It's usually two people who are like, no. But no, I don't think that's fair at all to say, oh, Judy. I don't think it's fair at all to say that someone who doesn't get along with their family is like not to be trusted or is a red flag at all. Oh, right, I'm settled now. Apparently someone high up in the family was worried that Archie's skin tone would be too dark. I would truly love to believe it's not racially motivated. I mean, I don't think that it is, but the amount of rage Piers Morgan directs at Meghan is based on the fact that she didn't text him back. Yes. Someone can not get on with family and still be a nice person. Loads of people can be horrible people and get on with their entire family, and their entire family might be horrible people. Hang on. My family are not my type of people. I choose my own family who are friends. Yes. I don't get on great with my in-laws either. I get that not everyone gets on, but I do think if you don't get on with any family, there's maybe more to it. Yeah, but you're assuming that the more to it is her side. So, for example, if I don't speak to someone in my family, there's more to it. No, I don't speak to the people in my family because they were really, really awful people for a time. And there came a point where it's like, no more. I'll tell you, the person I don't speak to in my family is an alcoholic and remained in our family for a very, very long time until it kind of got to the point where it was dangerous and it was turning up in the middle of the night and whatever else. When I was very small, I was in a car accident with this person and the police had to call my parents and say she was drinking when she was looking after your daughter and she's had this car accident. And still for years, they tried to make it work and it didn't work because she's not a nice person. And so I feel quite strongly that the blame should not be laid with the person unless you know what's going on. And sometimes people don't want to air the dirty laundry of other people, you know? Like Meghan might not want to say, well, these are the reasons, because it's not fair, although her family don't seem to have had that problem doing that with her. Her dad sold letters to the newspaper. I wouldn't want to be in touch with someone who did that to me. Exactly. They said what every person who doesn't feed the Daily Mail already knew, but it needed to be said out loud. How it's not only family, but the whole system, employees of the palace. Yes. Harry was a massive racist before he met Meghan. Hopefully he has evolved since then, but that might be part of the rift. Possibly. I know that he did things that were like very dicey, but I didn't know that he was, he did some things that were definitely racially insensitive, but I didn't realize he was a racist. I had to mute Piers this morning. He's so aggressive towards them. Also, I don't speak to my dad. That doesn't make me a bad person. Exactly. I'm on the fence. So many people have come out and said she bullied and was mean to them. Are they all lying? Or is the truth finally coming out? Having said that, the way the press has treated them is awful. Do you not think, Lucy, it's really strange that they're just saying that now? Why? Why are they only saying that now? There's no reason for them not to have said it earlier. This is not the same as like women who don't come forward against like abusers and stuff, because there's absolutely no reason for them not to have said anything prior to now. It seems like it was talked about and then it was put in someone's back pocket for such a time as this when they needed the distraction tactic. Her family were money grabbing. The royals are money protectors. She was never the problem. That makes sense. And how is racially motivated? How it is racially motivated, and how scared the royals are of the tabloids. Meghan is playing her best acting role yet. Maybe. I just don't understand why people dislike her so much. I really don't. There may be some truth from both sides, but made bigger by the royal celeb viewpoint. Yeah, I think so. It's such a weird thing, isn't it? Like, so few people will ever be in 100% interesting how the palace immediately launched into an investigation about bullying and not investigation into Andrew. Yes. It's so weird to consider that very few people in the world will ever know how it feels to be in this weird bubble, isn't it? It's really strange. Like, to be born into something where one day, if you want to marry someone that people don't agree with, this will happen. Like, there are families of like status and stuff across the world that I'm sure stuff like that happens. You know, we don't agree with this person, you'll be ostracized or whatever, but it's not going to be global news like this. It's so crazy. I can't imagine. I really can't. What people forget is how they treated Diana before she died. The newspapers mauled her and then she died and it was a complete U-turn. I said this last week to someone. Everyone talks about Princess Diana like she's this saintly, the people's princess. Everybody loved Princess Diana. Yeah, loads of people loved Princess Diana, but the papers were horrible to her, and it's really not that dissimilar. They thought she was ruining the royal family. She was to blame for the Charles and Camilla thing. Everything was Diana's fault. And then Diana had obviously her supporters, not unlike Meghan does. Meghan has massive supporters and people who hate her. And I think that is very, very similar to what happened with Diana. But people, like you say, have forgotten the negative stuff. They've just kind of rewritten it in their minds as, oh no, everyone loved Diana. Diana is like an icon. That's not how it went down. Can't tell you, I'm not into the royal family at all, but I love a conspiracy theory, and I have consumed a lot of things about Princess Diana in my years. A lot. I think I was only 11 when she died. I remember being really quite put out because we just had, like 4 channels then, and I woke up. Did it happen on a Friday? Because I want to say I woke up on a Saturday morning, really excited to watch. I woke up early to watch my cartoons, and every single channel was reporting that Princess Diana had died, and I was a little bit annoyed because I wanted to watch my TV programs because I was 11. That's my memory of Princess Diana dying, my entire heartlessness about the royal family. But yeah, otherwise, couldn't care less about the royal family. Don't care if we've got a royal family or not. Don't feel strongly about the tax thing. Nothing. The only thing I feel strongly about is how horrible people are being to Meghan Markle. Which is kind of funny. And it's not dissimilar. Like Lee and I talk about this all the time, like the outrage culture and the cancel culture, and oh, you can't say anything and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's exactly the same. So Lee and I can often be on opposite sides of this. Lee's not a Meghan fan. Lee reads the newspapers I wouldn't read. We often are on opposite sides of something. But everyone is like at an 11. I think if everyone could just calm down, myself included, we could probably have a regular conversation. But it just seems to be the people who hate her just hate her. There's not a lot of substance to it. It's just hate. It's just like, oh, she's horrible. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that. But why though? They don't really ever seem to be any real reasons to back it up other than a general feeling which has been created by the media. I agree about the Diana thing. Think Harry saw history repeating itself and wanted to protect Meghan from it all, which is why he took a step away from it. British press do seem to have gotten worse with Meghan. After Diana died, the UK press made an agreement to back off. 10 years ago, I lived in Germany, and the stories they printed about the royals were unbelievable. Anything went. Very different to what was allowed to be printed here. But now it seems fair game. Right, so this is something as well, because the press have definitely got an agreement with the royals where they don't print. I think it's like, we don't print what you don't want us to print. They obviously had to report on the Andrew thing, but they didn't report that much on the Andrew thing compared to Meghan. We went to America a couple of years ago, and I remember seeing headlines and all these magazines, and everything was about William having an affair. And I said to Lee, has Prince William had an affair? What is going on? And I was Googling it, and there's all these articles all over the internet about it. I had never seen anything about it. Not so much as like a meme, nothing at all. And then there was that thing where he was like Kate was pulling away from him. And that was the only thing that I've read in the UK anything about him having an affair. So it's weird how our press are definitely not talking about the same things that is being talked about elsewhere. In reality, it wouldn't be lovely to be out of the public eye and raise your child how you want without rules and boundaries. My view of Meghan changed when they continued with fame. It would be, but you can't do that. It's impossible to do that. Plus, if they just faded away into obscurity, they'd still be criticised. They'd still be written about, but they wouldn't have a platform in which to speak up for themselves. If like they'll do charity work, which is great, but they'll still be then people then will see that as, well, they just want to be famous. You really can't win in this situation. I don't think there's anything that they could do now, bar like move to a private island and never see anyone again. But then what life is that? That's no life. They can't just continue. It's just shit. Just is. There's no way out of this. Meghan was welcomed by everyone in the UK before the wedding. Not sure racism is behind her dislike. No, I think the racism thing probably plays a part with certain outlets and certain people, but I don't think that's the whole reason. They're definitely... People didn't seem to like that people did like her originally, and they didn't want her to be more liked than Kate. I think that's what the original thing was. I think Kate was like the golden child. Harry said that he was part of the system that he didn't see a way out of. So it's not his family that works like a normal family. Yeah. Feel sorry for Archie and the unborn little one as they're going to go through what Harry and William have gone through and seen the press. Yes, see the press when they get older completely. That's going to be horrible. The pink Starbucks cup that I had in the thumbnail, I found in a box. I think it's a Benefit Starbucks cup. I think it must have been a press sample years ago. I don't even remember. Totally agree. The press only print what they want them to print. Meghan's stuff started here when William's affair rumours came out, and then again when Andrew stuff happened. Yeah, totally. Andrew thing was downplayed. They went for a pizza, okay, that's completely plausible. But Meghan is ripped to pieces. I think to truly understand how unfair Meghan is treated, you need to look at her first pregnancy headlines versus Kate. Yes, 1,000,000%. I read something a few years ago when she was pregnant with the first baby. And it was like, it totted up how many stories had been written about her versus how many stories had been written about Kate in her first 6 to 12 months with the royals. And it was insane. It was like, I don't know, 30 times or something. It was really, really insane. They still got to pay bills at the end of the day and live a life they become accustomed to. True. There's no way of continuing. There's no way of not continuing with fame. Yes. You can't be obscure. You're the prince. Even if they tried to fade, they would be pursued by the press completely. I liked that she was different and had a voice, but was then unsure if she had a game plan all along. Will Harry get heartbreak? Right, so this is, would we have even thought of that if they hadn't planted that in our minds? Who like, anyone who would marry into the royal family could have a game plan. Kate could have a game plan right now. This could all be like, could have been her master plan to become the Queen of England. And no one's concerned about that. All along, she could have had this plan to become the Queen and do something crazy. It's total speculation. You could say that about anyone, about Camilla. Camilla could have a big, she wanted to be the Queen of England, clearly. She was ready to destroy a marriage. These are all things that people wrote about. I don't care about Camilla. I don't care about any of that stuff. My point is, it's insane to be angry about something that hasn't even happened. Everyone's like, well, what if she does this? But she hasn't done that. It's nuts. It's nuts. I think the other thing is she is an older established woman with a life and a voice. Diana and Kate were basically groomed to follow the rules from a very young age, not knowing anything else. 100%, completely. Because Kate's white, people trust her. I mean, again, I don't want to believe that that's really why. I think part of it is the American thing. Part of it is like, well, she was divorced. And it did seem like Harry was kind of getting swept up in this other life in another country. I understand why people didn't necessarily want them to get married. I get that. I just don't understand why people are so... Like, it's happened now. They got married. They've had children. It's just, you know, leave them be. I would imagine they thought that less stories would be written about them if they left the royal family, because there was so much animosity about how much they were costing the royal family, how much work they were doing. Well, what are they doing now? How is this happening? How is that happening? They tried to explain it all and defend themselves, and no, wasn't happening. So they had to leave, and still, now people are like, well, I can't believe you left the royal family. It was like, I can't believe she quit Suits for them, Sarah. I think no one's concerned about Kate's motivation because she's consistently tried to follow protocol and support the crown. Meghan has disrespected protocols and done damage to the crown. But if you were to have a game plan, if you had a game plan to do something disruptive to the royal family, wouldn't you follow protocol? Wouldn't you do all the things that were expected of you and garner as much public support and trust as you possibly could to then roll out your master plan? It doesn't make sense to me that this was her plan. I think they probably discussed it, but I don't know why it's her plan. I thought I was the only one with a game plan to become the Queen. No, Nikki. No. Multiple people. Because she's from a very high up British family and Meghan is an actress. Yeah. I now think Kate is dodgy. I don't think Kate's dodgy at all. I don't think any of them are. I think it's just a weird thing to have to live in the public eye like this, and it's unlike any other celebrity thing. It's not the same. It's so weird. Everyone's always willing to believe the worst in Meghan for some reason. Kate's part of the royal family is so different to Meghan's. She will be queen one day, whereas Meghan won't be. So of course she's going to behave. Yeah, but also you would think that people would be more on Kate, like what's Kate doing? What's going on with Kate? Because Meghan's not ever going to be the queen. She's just going to be part of the royal family. So what's the big deal? I don't know. Feel sorry for the people that are destroyed by that family, but they're still part of it. Entitled and overprivileged, although how they found anyone to marry after the way Diana was treated is a mystery. I completely agree. You're right, Sarah, it is International Women's Day. How fortuitous. What a coincidence that it would be International Women's Day. I don't understand how people think Meghan hasn't behaved. The only thing she's truly done is stand up for herself when her mental health was an all-time low. Yes. She hasn't behaved in that she hasn't towed the line. She hasn't done what everyone wanted her to do. She hasn't done what was expected. The press were pretty mean to Kate in the beginning, calling her Katie Waity and only being middle class. I remember this. I remember the pictures of her when she was in university and stuff. But as soon as she was, because that was early on, as soon as she was like gonna be a royal, it stopped. That was like when they were dating, because they like split up for a while, then they were getting back together. All of that point, fine. They were still young. That was like the equivalent of Harry and Chelsea. As soon as she was going to become the queen, it stopped completely. None of that at all. I've like someone else had suggested, the parallels in when they were both pregnant. You know, I was thinking maternity. I'm like, what's the word? The parallels in stories when they were both pregnant for the first time. It was like night and day. It wasn't a parallel. If you compare the two, it's crazy. I'm not a royalist. It's poop being a celeb. They cannot win. Let's praise Kate and Meghan for being badass women and put themselves in the line of fire for the person, the one they love. Yeah, completely. They took topless pics of Kate in France and had to get an injunction. I remember that. They also did that to Diana. I remember. But again, that's not the UK press. It's a different ballgame, as everyone's said. Like in the US, the press is different. They're reporting completely different stories. It's actually kind of interesting. In the interview, they say they actually got married 3 days before the big wedding. What do you think about the 32 million spent on a fake wedding? That's amazing. Oh, I love that. That's the best. Again, I haven't seen the interview yet, obviously, because it's not until tonight in the UK. That's what I would want to do. That's a great idea. Get married privately and then have the big wedding. I mean, I don't care about the money spent on the wedding at all. It just makes no odds to me. They spent that money on that wedding. They wouldn't have spent it on anything else. You know, when people talk about like the taxes and yada yada, it's not like we would get a tax break or the NHS would get that tax or anyone we want to get that tax would get that tax. It's not money that's up for grabs. It's money that's going to be spent on shit that's not interesting to us anyway. So fine, go for it. Spend all that money on a royal wedding. If you're paying for it, you can do what you want. Well, exactly. Exactly. That is another thing in that they take away your ability to earn money for yourself. You can't, and the craziest thing for me of the royal family stuff is they're not allowed to accept gifts. If the royal family were allowed to accept gifts, if like they have to pay for everything, if they were able to accept free clothes, they would never have to pay for clothes. If they were able to accept like free things for the wedding, that wedding would have been free. Why don't we allow them to just have gifts? Because people would pay to have them wear the things they want them to wear. And then the whole thing of how much they're costing the country would not even be a thing. It's all such a contradiction. You're not allowed to do this, but we're going to complain about this. But you're also not allowed to do this, but we're going to complain about this. The wedding brought in 1.4 billion in tourism and economic impact. Yeah, completely. Yes, the Frogmore Cottage renovation, paid for by taxpayers, £2 million house renovation. That was a lol, especially because they then left. That was the one thing in all of it I was like, that's terrible. Oh, very sad to hear that Charles has stopped taking his calls. Did he say that in the interview? That's really sad. That's really sad. Yeah, I heard that they paid the Frogmore Cottage money back too. I think it's really hard to imagine a reason why you would stop speaking to your child. And even if it's like, can you imagine being so annoyed that your husband had left the royal family that you just stopped talking? Your son had left the royal family, you just stopped talking to him. There has to have been more that went on there, which then just feeds into maybe there was a bigger reason why they left and they just can't say. Maybe there was a larger rift, maybe something happened, and actually that's why. I feel sorry for Meghan. I think they both need to accept that living in public life, they can't control 100% of the narrative about them. Trying to is only going to hurt them more. Yeah, one of the things that I'd read was someone said at this point, when they do the interview, they are either preaching to the converted, like me, or they're trying to convince people who have already made up their minds about them. It's pointless to try and convince the haters that they are something else. So what is the purpose of this interview? And I personally think it is just to set the record straight. They just need, like, let's draw a line under it. I'm saying my piece, I'm going to tell you everything. And then you know from us, this is what happened. You then want to write your stories, that's fine. But you know what I told you. And so from that there on out, any stories that are written about those things that are discussed in the interview, you then make your decision whether or not she was lying. But you know, from a transparency perspective, she told you this is what happened. They had the conversation. They told you this is what happened. You then decide whether or not that's true. But she at least was able then to, like, say her piece and get it all out in the open. Oh, they're paying back Frogmore Cottage over installments over 11 years when they bought a 14 million mansion, made millions on Spotify and Netflix deals, and inherited 40 million from Diana. They've been cut off financially from the royal family now. They're living on money Diana left. Oh yeah, Dodi Al-Fayed. The royals didn't like him either. Do you think Charles answers his own phone? Probably goes through a few people before you can even get to him. Good point, Nikki. Do you think they're allowed to text each other? Surely. I don't know. Watching The Crown made me realise it's not all sweetness and light. We all have our choices in life. Completely. I mean, we have to understand that The Crown is clearly fictitious and they're making most of that shit up. But definitely the way they've had to make decisions that have not necessarily been the decisions they would want to make for themselves. They've had to make decisions for the larger picture. Sucks. I can't imagine. Just sucks. 3 weeks after Jamal Khashoggi's murder, Meghan wore diamond earrings from the Crown Prince of UAE, responsible for Khashoggi's murder, Dodi Fayed's cousin. She wore them twice and knows the significance. What? Okay. I'm going to have to Google that. Aren't you glad you're not on Twitter anymore? 100%. Do you know what? Someone hacked my Twitter account. I think they deleted all my tweets. I don't know. Anyway, that's why my Twitter account looks weird now. It's like I've got no face and the stuff, because I got it back, but I haven't really done anything with it. But yeah, I am off Twitter now because I couldn't deal with this. I would be arguing with people all day long. It would be such a waste of life. No, I'm so argumentative. I don't know if you've noticed this about me, but argumentative in like a debate kind of way. But I can't, if someone says something and I don't agree with it, I'm sitting there like, don't say anything, just let it go. And in the right circumstances, I can do that. But less and less. I'm like, no, I don't agree with that. Let's talk about this. Why do you think that. I think this. It's all outrage. It's all from all sides. We're all outraged all the time. I'm outraged that other people are outraged. I don't think that the Queen would tolerate racism towards Meghan. She's held the head of the Commonwealth, literally head of state over many countries, people of colour. Racism claims are ridiculous. I feel like you just keep saying that same thing over and over again. Did she know the significance, or was she told, these are pretty jewels, you want to wear these? See, that's another thing. If the royal family control all of the jewellery and they're like, ooh, take these ones, do you think that's intentional? And that they're just like sowing the seeds so that people can later on go, well, look what she wore. Look at the significance of this. I have zero trust in the media or the royals, barring the two younger couples. I'll watch the interview and make my mind up based on that. The media sicken me, quite frankly. I'm with you, Gillian. I don't believe anything anymore. Lee and I had an argument yesterday, like bickered, not an argument. Because he was telling me a nice, it was a real story. It was about the person who sold the corgi, the new corgi to the Queen. And he said, oh, these people, this black Range Rover turned up and they had this, they got this dog and blah, 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 blah. And he was telling me this story and I was like, I don't believe them. I don't think it's really that dog. He's like, why are you so cynical? Like, well, why aren't you more cynical? I believe so little that I read. I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't. I'll read a headline and it doesn't even matter if it's like a nice story. Then half of me's thinking, well, if you're writing this nice fluff piece, why are you writing this? Probably because you don't want us to read something else that's been published today. I'm super, super media cynical now. Debate time with Guyla is needed. I've had to set my time limits for Twitter on my phone because it was constantly making me angry. Just, honest to God, get rid of it. I didn't miss it. I was on Twitter every single day, several times a day, and it would make me I was like ragey. And I got rid of it, and I swear to God, I've never missed it. I couldn't believe I didn't miss it because it was just part of my everyday. I didn't miss it at all. It was mental. I really hope Harry will reconcile. Oh, like Will and Harry will reconcile. Because after all, brothers, they are brothers and they've been through so much. Totally true. I agree. I always remember history lessons in school about propaganda. Yeah. I thought the Queen wasn't having corgis anymore. She used to breed her own and she stopped as she doesn't want them to outlive her. Oh. Do you think Princess Diana was murdered by the royal family or it was an accident? I don't think it was an accident. I don't necessarily think that it was the royal family. But I don't think it was an accident at all. It could have even been someone trying to get in with the royal family and then take credit later. Like, look what I did for you. The Queen being racist or not is one thing, but citing her being the head of state of Commonwealth countries is why she isn't racist. Is factually incorrect. Colonialism is born out of racism. Yeah, you can't ever, like, saying that is like, well, I'm not racist because I've got a black friend. That's not really how it works. But that's by the by. That's not the discussion we're having. I think for sure there's been some racial motivation in the Meghan Markle stuff, but whether or not that's what was at play in the royal family, I don't know. Twitter is kicking off. HMRC are getting 13% pay reform over 3 years from existing budgets, losing terms and conditions, and NHS is getting a 1% pay rise. Yeah, I don't need to be on Twitter right now. When William becomes king, are we calling him King Bill or King Willie? Real questions. King William sounds weird, doesn't it? Isn't it weird in our lifetime we'll have another king, another monarch? That's so weird. I don't think it was an accident one bit, no. Listening to the audiobook Untamed has made me question so much in life. I deleted Facebook, best decision ever. I don't use Facebook either. I kept Facebook for Messenger, but I never ever scroll Facebook. Not for years. I haven't used Facebook. And then Twitter. Now I just have Instagram. Instagram and YouTube, that's it. That's the whole thing. Personally, I didn't think Meghan and the royal family would ever gel. If you look back at the history, most women who marry in have to give up who they are and become part of the royal image. Yeah, you make a good point. She wasn't prepared to do that. And I think probably she wasn't expecting to have to do that because she was marrying Harry, not William. Personally, oh no, wait, this is the next one. Maybe about King William. King William. But the way Prince Philip keeps surviving everything, Prince Charles could outlive us all. Oh, I forgot about King Charles. Okay, so King Charles works better. King Charles, obviously. Your hair looks a lovely length. Thank you. I'm really enjoying it right now. I really am. I actually took a picture earlier for a sponsored thing I was doing. And I was like, oh my God. I've got hair now that I would like pin on Pinterest as like, do this to my hair. Make my hair look like this. Very pleased with it. I'm kind of nervous to get it redone. I need like either a root stretch or just to bring the blonde up a little. Although she's fantastic because she did bring the blonde all the way up here. I definitely had blonde way in my roots, but I think the blend is amazing. She's a bit magic, my hairdresser. But the colour now is exactly how I want it. I don't tone it, I don't do anything. And now I'm scared to have anything done to it because I think I'm gonna ruin that. I think the Queen is doing her best to outlive Charles out of spite. I agree. King Billy, this has tickled me. We could call him Billy the King. I don't know. We probably should wrap this up because it's been nearly an hour. I was going to come on for 20 minutes and then we've just rambled. And I've revealed more about myself than I should have. One of those times where I'm like, shouldn't have said that, should not have said that. And then obviously just argued about whether or not Meghan is a horrible person. I wasn't going to watch, especially because Lee's not a Meghan fan. I mean, he's not like, you know, it's not like what we're talking about, but he's just like, no. He said something, we can watch it ITV 9 o'clock. He said, we've got a running joke now because he was saying something about Meghan having taken him away from the royal family. And he said he loved his royal work, and that like almost immediately we were both in stitches because he wasn't joking. And I think he realized, actually, I don't care that much about this. I've kind of gotten carried away. And so now he loved his royal work. Whenever we talk about anything to do with Harry and Meghan, I'm like, he loved his royal work. He did, he really truly did. And when we were talking about the interview last week, and he said, are you going to watch the interview? We're going to watch it on Monday. And I said, yeah. He loved his royal work, and he messaged me back. He really did. I think you can just get caught up in it, and it feels so much like you have to take a side. Can we not just take the side of leaving them the fuck alone? Would love to know what Beatrice and Eugenie and Zara think about it all. They seem like modern women. And they're just like, everyone's cool with it. There they are, living their lives. I don't even know where they are. Nobody cares. I think that's probably how she thought it could have been. Camilla won't become queen. She'll be princess consort. Interesting. Why is that? Is that because she was divorced? Why won't she be queen? I didn't know that, Nikki. That's interesting. Obviously, if you're the queen, if you've like ascended to the throne and you're the queen, then your significant other can't be the king. Oh my God, I just imagined. Can you imagine? Can you imagine such a day that we had like a gay king or queen? Can you imagine? That would be insane. Like, just to kind of think of the monarchy as it is and the history and like everything needs to be protected. It's unlikely we're ever going to get to the point where we have like, I mean, it would be way, way, way down the line. Like a king or queen of colour. But imagine, do you think they would have to step down? Do you think they would decide privately that, or do you think that we maybe have had homosexual kings and queens and they have just lived a different life to what they wanted? That's probably actually more likely. And then had a private life. We've gone off on a tangent here. It does make you wonder though, doesn't it? Especially in something like this where it would be frowned upon, surely. Surely they would not be. The King Queen are the head of the English church, so I don't see that happening. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We defo have had. They won't be allowed to be themselves, no. It's so sad. Can you imagine? They're building their brand, but it's... is anyone honestly interested enough for them to continue to get views and listeners on Spotify, Netflix? They're boring. The thing is, I wouldn't, if they had a Netflix show, I wouldn't watch it. I'm not that interested at all. I wouldn't watch a show about Harry and Meghan. If they had a reality show, I wouldn't watch it. I'm interested in the interview because I want to see her defend herself. And I want to see what she actually says and how people react. I'd love to see a change in how people feel about her, but we're not going to see that. Imagine if William came out as non-binary. We would all just accept that. We really, I mean, I say we, but no one would accept that. There's no way that would ever, ever, ever happen. There's no way the royal family is ever going to allow William to suddenly be like, do you know what? I'm living a lie. It's not going to happen. But from an optics perspective, from a PR perspective, it would be a great move to have one of the prominent members of the royal family be LGBTQ, wouldn't it? If they were smart, they should have embraced Meghan, and then they should have specifically found a royal family member who was hiding their sexual identity and been like, look how progressive we are as a royal family. But no. Because as Nikki said, there's definitely some hidden things among there. Imagine all the jewels and robes. They said it would be a great PR move for Meghan to join the family, and we've seen how that went. Well, it would have been a great PR move if they'd been nice to her. I think that the royal family could have made more of an effort to show her as an integrated member of the family. But then also, with that in mind, maybe that's part of it. Maybe they were really nice to her, and maybe Meghan didn't trust that. Maybe she thought, they're only being nice to me because I am a token black person who could do well for the PR of the royal family. I feel like maybe we are getting into the territory of when we were theorizing The Undoing. Like, oh, but maybe it's the blonde woman. Maybe in the interview, the blonde friend will pop out and it was Lily Rabe the whole time. Maybe Meghan will take her face off and it was Lily Rabe playing Meghan Markle. Isn't Baby Spice in line to the throne like 100 and something? Is that true? Oh my God, I hope that's true. I've never heard that. I was talking to a friend earlier and she said the interview completely changed her opinion of Meghan. She said up to now she hadn't heard her speak much, which isn't like the fact that you've got an opinion of someone you haven't really ever heard talk. Your opinion has been based on things that people have told you about them. Part of me thought, I don't want to watch this with Lee because he's going to be like, Meghan Markle, he loved his royal work. But part of me wants to watch it because I want to see whether or not his opinion will be changed, because his opinion, the same as mine, is only based on what I've heard about this person, aside from the fact that I used to follow her blog and I really enjoyed her on Suits. So it's a bit like, do you know, I was reading something, off on a tangent again. I was reading something where, I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was Kate Beckinsale, with full circle. It was on Kate Beckinsale's Instagram, and she was like giving examples of people who have been like the focus, like the target of all this vitriol. And Britney Spears was one of those people. And feeling the way I think we all collectively feel about Britney Spears. Can you imagine now finding out that people had been so horrible to her? You're like, oh, poor Britney Spears. That's kind of how I feel about Meghan Markle. Like, just leave Meghan alone. That's kind of how I feel. We've only heard one side. The royal family will never fully respond, so we'll never know and have to make our own minds up or speculate. Well, I think that's the point. Meghan doesn't want us to be able to speculate anymore. I mean, we always will. But Oprah said, no holds bars, I'm going to ask you any question that I want. So she'll ask all the questions, Meghan will answer all the questions, and then it's down to us to decide whether or not Meghan's telling the truth. And if you don't believe Meghan, then you don't believe Meghan. Done. But there's no more speculation. From there, it's like, well, she's a liar and you don't like her and it doesn't matter what she says because it's all bullshit. Or you believe the story that she's telling you and you're like, okay, so that's what happened. I think it will come down to trust. All William's children are in line to the throne before Harry. Yes, completely. It's just a whole strange thing, isn't it? I'm also glad I did this thing with Milo where we put X's, like kisses, on our hands, but we also did them on our wrists because I realised later that he was going to be washing his hands like every 10 minutes at school and this is like going to rub away. But I'm glad I did it on the wrist because I'm just like sitting here and it's rubbing away. This was like, I've seen this before with hearts and things, but Brummy Mummy posted about this while we were sat in the car waiting to go into school. And I had a marker pen in my glove box. I was like, let's do this, because he was a little bit nervous. I think it's cute. Plus, when he presses it at school, I can feel it. We tested it out in the car, and it does work. The royals were all born into the family, so I think it's difficult for them to teach someone how to be in the family. But maybe they did need to do more. Who knows? We'll never know everything. You would think that the whole thing with Kate, like Kate would have been the one. She understood most, but then also was probably threatened by Meghan. In a family, in a really close-knit family, in-laws can be very territorial. Like a new daughter-in-law coming into the family and you're like, but I'm the favourite daughter-in-law. I've been accepted. I've put in the work. This is really hard. I don't want you to be accepted because I'm the favourite daughter-in-law. I feel like part of this family now and I am the person who needs to accept you into the fold. I've been in a situation like that with a very like close family, feeling very much on the outside, and I can see how that would have a strange kind of dynamic with them. Oprah should have asked about Prince Andrew. They could have been the first royals to comment on that. She could have, but they didn't know anything about it. I think that the tricky part of that is like, what do you think of Prince Andrew doing this thing? Is hard to answer because, of course, they can only say if that's what's happened, that's a terrible thing. But they weren't there, and they don't have any first-hand knowledge of it. So I don't think it would have just been a soundbite. It would have just been like salacious, wouldn't it? Have been like an extra, because it means nothing. For them to say what he did was terrible would have just added another rift. Plus, if you really want the final thing with Andrew to be like, this gets resolved, then you don't want Harry and Meghan to like stand against him, because it's almost like if Meghan said, Andrew is a terrible person, he did these things and these things are terrible, I feel like tomorrow's headlines would be exonerating Prince Andrew. It would have the opposite effect because people don't want to be aligned with Meghan. Do you know? It's like a competition between my two daughter-in-laws to be. It's great for me. Yes, it would be. The question could have been, how has he still not faced the authorities? Not about guilt or innocence. But that in itself is about guilt or innocence, because how he still hasn't faced any authorities is like, they don't necessarily know anything about it. They're not in the royal family. So they can't comment on what's happened. They can't, like, for all they know, he has seen authorities. He has done something. They don't know. It's like asking a stranger. Because it all went down around the time they were leaving, didn't it? So I do think if she'd asked that, it would have seemed like she'd only asked it to use as a soundbite to sell the interview, you know. I don't think it really would have done anything. I think it's safe to say anyone would agree he needs to face some kind of consequences for what he did. And so I don't think it would have been useful for them to pass comment or make comment. No royals above the law, so Andrew should face the FBI. Yeah, 100%. Also, Meghan should face investigation into claims of bullying staff. Yeah, but there needs to be some evidence to that, and I would be suspicious of the timing. Those questions are for him, the Crown, and the authorities. Exactly. If you're not in it, it doesn't really mean anything. But the bullying claims do seem well timed to me. Maybe just to me. But it does seem like a strange coincidence that it would be now. Could have been any of the time. It could have been when they left the royal family. That would have been a good time for that story to come out. Oh, well, maybe this is why she left. That would have made a lot of sense. It would have been very well received, that story, in the papers. It feels a lot like that was kept back to distract from something as and when something big happened like this. Yeah, they haven't given any examples of the bullying behaviour. Whether or not Meghan is guilty of bullying allegations is almost going against the point. It's how she was treated by the family, the tabloids they were trying to protect themselves from. I agree, also would have detracted from the Meghan focus of the interview. That's to do with the Andrew thing. Haven't given examples. I do think the timing of the bullying claim is awkward, should have been investigated at the time and dealt with. Because the alleged victim's resolution is always better if earlier. Why would you not raise bullying at the time? Almost guaranteed to get a payoff. Yes, and why would you not, even if not at the time? Because clearly, you know, she's in the royal family, very awkward. But when she left, that would be the time. Funny how the royal family are investigating internally the bullying, but not Prince Andrew. They responded to those bullying claims so fast, almost like they put them out there. So fast. No, I don't trust that at all. Even if it's true, let's say she actually was bullying someone, or these claims are legit, I don't think this is the first time it's been brought up. I think it's been held back. Who remembers the Andrew interview with Emily Mattis? Was that her name? Is this the one where he said about the Pizza Express thing? Because I remember that interview was insane. Oh my goodness. I'm literally crunchy. My shoulder's like, rah, rah. How would the royal family investigate Prince Andrew, though? They aren't his employer in the way that they are in the bullying. No, but they didn't respond. And I don't think he's been forthright or forthcoming in investigations. And this can't, like, again, I don't believe that this is the first they've heard of the bullying thing at all. Yeah, the one where he said he couldn't sweat, lols. I did see a clip this morning of Meghan talking about, again, I haven't read a lot of stuff about them previously, but apparently there were headlines saying that she had made Kate cry, and she said that's not how it went down. She made me cry. I'm like, ooh, okay. What? So let's say, for example, that's true. Who's to say that there haven't been claims of Kate bullying people in the past, and there've been claims of Meghan bullying people in the past, and they've just gone, okay, no problem. We'll pay you to not say anything, but we will hold these claims back and we will reveal them as and when it is useful to us. I think that's probably what happened. I think there've probably been claims of every single member of the royal family bullying some member of staff at some given time. And they've just retained that for when it works for them. Yes, they protected him against being investigated by various law authorities, and probably for the press as well. There was a video that was interesting. Someone set up a fake production company. Yes, we were talking about this earlier. So interesting. This is what Kate Beckinsale tweeted about or Instagrammed about last night, not on Twitter. And she said it was incredibly, it was very like Sacha Baron Cohen would do, and got all of these different people to weigh in on the interview, and they agreed in advance. No, they haven't seen the interview. And then they were like, so what did you think of the interview? And they gave full like statements. I think the interview was this, I think the interview was that, and they'd never seen it. And they said they'd never seen it. It was fascinating. And just went to show people are just already with their opinions. I think bullying was actually reported in the press at the time. I remember something about Meghan throwing a pot of hot tea over a member of staff, and I was like, what? Yes, I don't remember that either. Kate has no platform to respond to Meghan's accusations about her making her cry. Yeah, she does. That would be like the Crown. The royal family would make a statement if they want to make that statement. I think they will. I think they're going to say something along the lines of, you know, we're sorry that they saw things that way or something. They're not going to be specific, but I think there will be a statement. They should have never spoken to Oprah. It makes a circus of everything. Everything's already a circus. I don't see why they couldn't speak to Oprah and make it a circus on their terms. What did I... Oh, conspiracy theories with Kyla. Most talks about themes by followers. Podcast option. We could put conspiracy theories to you and you tell us truth or nonsense. I can't do a podcast, guys. It's just too much work. I've tried and tried. I like these lives for that, a similar kind of thing. We have a theme, we have a topic, we talk about it. Sometimes they stay up for a while, sometimes they don't. Sometimes people get too argumentative in the comments and it gets all a little bit too much and I'm like, I'm going to take that down. We don't need that. So that's why sometimes the lives and the vlogs even go away, because it just all gets a bit too biting and I'm like, we don't need that for now. We'll move on with our lives. But yeah, something like that would be fun. Conspiracy theories or like, this is why I loved The Undoing, because we went through all the theories of what was happening. Do you think Kate actually has the power to tell them what to release as a statement? It's possible she tried, but they said no. A statement of what? Do you mean a statement to discredit the story that Meghan had made her cry? Or a statement to say Meghan is lying? I think that the palace will release a statement if they think that it's useful, and they think they need to be defended. And if something like that comes up, I mean, I don't know why they would release a statement to clear Meghan. I don't think they really care. But I think that if they say enough things that are detrimental, they will release an overall statement saying that there are some inaccuracies in the interview. But I don't think they'll be specific. Also, when you say there's no platform for Kate to defend herself, that is in itself saying there is a value in having a platform to defend yourself, which is what Harry and Meghan are doing. They have the platform. They've distanced themselves from the Crown. They're allowed to say their piece, and so they are. So I don't see it being a thing. Exactly. Meghan has sat back for so long and listened to the most horrible things being said about her. I can't imagine how hard that was. Completely. Apparently the motto of the Crown is don't explain, don't complain. No thanks. Can you imagine? Just sitting and listening to all of that and knowing that people are saying things about you that are lies and never being able to speak for yourself. That's crazy. Just imagine the Queen with her charcuterie plate watching the interview on some nefarious site last night. Do you think they sent them a copy? I totally think they sent them a copy. It's such a weird thing. But overall, I completely support their decision to say their piece. I think that's fair. I do agree with people in that if it continues, continues. But this is the only interview they've given. So it's not like they're making a big hullabaloo. It's being made a hullabaloo by the press right now. They have given an interview, and by the time we see that interview, we've seen it everywhere, all the clips, every headline. They didn't do that. The press did that. They have given an interview. So if by the time you see that interview, you're like, oh my God, I'm so sick of hearing about this interview. They just gave one interview. So a little bit like I was reading some comments on something about the, I don't remember what it was. It was someone who was, it was Louise Redknapp, who obviously got divorced from Jamie Redknapp. And all the comments were so horrible. It was all like, God, get over it, blah, blah, blah. She's always talking about it. And I thought, she's not really always talking about it. She talks about it occasionally, and then that thing is regurgitated 1,000,000 times. So you've read 5 stories when she's just said one thing. It could just have been a line, and they will make 5 different stories about that one thing that she said. So it seems like someone's flogging a dead horse, but actually it's just the media that's repeating all of the time. So I think that's part of it. People are like, oh my God, no one cares anymore, Harry and Meghan. They haven't really done or said that much. The media have done and said a lot on their behalf, and so it seems like that, but they haven't. Might have sent them a copy and asked for a comment, but it could have just been released as a full surprise, so they can't try and get it taken down. They're never going to take it down. She would probably have a £5 note to wipe her fake tears. I'm sure the government is happy for the press distraction today. Well, that's another thing entirely. Every time there's a big story, whether it be Brexit, COVID stuff, whatever, all of a sudden there's something bigger that takes everyone's attention away. Like, oh, by the way, we found some new evidence about Madeleine McCann. Everyone, look over here. That's totally the situation. So, who knows? I'm like, what's going on with my chairs? So there's one way back there. I thought I only had 2 chairs at this table for a second then. Also, it's still rainy today. Do you know what I'm going to do today? I filmed some stuff this morning that I needed to film. Tomorrow is a filming day. Today, I have no idea what time it is, but I've got a couple of hours before I have to go back to school. And I'm going to play The Sims. I re-downloaded it and installed it on my computer last night, and I'm going to play The Sims. I'm going to have a full, couple of hours of just total... I'm offline. So I'm just, get all of my venting out here. Let's chit chat about the drama that is Harry and Meghan. And then tomorrow we will talk again. Ooh, Demi Lovato documentary in 2 weeks. Yeah, exactly. I'll be interested in that because I don't know a tremendous amount about Demi Lovato, but she's had an interesting life. But I mostly just want the Meghan Markle thing because I want her to address the stuff that's clearly been lies for a long time. But beyond that, I'm like, now go and live your life in California. I couldn't tell you anything about any of the royal family recently. I'm not interested. I just like to see someone stand up for themselves and be like, do you know what? You can all fuck off. I enjoy that. Right, I'm gonna go. I really do also need to do my nails because they have been destroyed by all the DIY and the painting. I've done a lot of work in the garden this week. Not in the garden per se, but in the shed. I've made it into a full room. Painted all inside. I still need to paint the floor. I even built a bar out of wood. I was really pleased with myself. And it's all coming together. I'm very excited to show you it soon. I'm gonna have a garden video very soon. I thought since a couple of things. We're going to be able to have people in the garden soon in our step out of lockdown, and it's going to be springtime. I thought you guys might be interested in seeing the garden transformation and then the shed as well. Exciting. Right, I'm going to go. I'm going to make myself another coffee. That will be the third. Probably not a good idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. Thanks for joining me and chit-chatting and arguing about Meghan and Harry. I hope the interview is everything we wished for. I'm going to probably do another live tomorrow. Somewhere here, Instagram somewhere. And we're going to talk about it after it's finished because we're going to have something to talk about. Okay, right. See you guys later. Bye.